people? We're doing a little mini garden report, just a mini one.
What up?
What up?
Or so we say.
This isn't an emergency garden
It's not
report.
an emergency.
It's just a garden report between games.
Whatever. Totally casual.
It's just super cash.
It doesn't. If it doesn't, we don't. There's no commitment here. We're just having fun. Okay. We're just having a little fun.
I didn't get a chance to come on Saturday and revel in that game-winning shot from Luka, so here I am today.
Where the internet exploded today. First, I want to tell you we have a new sponsor, Raycon earbuds. Raycon.com. We'll tell you more about them in a little, but 20% off your next purchase. Go to Raycon.com/garden. We got the promo running this week. 20% off your next purchase. Everybody needs these, so just get them.
Ray J's company. I didn't even know that.
Oh, yeah. Really?
Yeah. I mean, that should be enough. All you need to know is that it's Ray J's company. That guy knows music. He knows sound, audio, all that stuff. And yes. I would just say go for it. But anyways,
I'm Jimmy Toscano knows.
Before I say the wrong thing.
No, he's got the goods. Right. Just don't let Bobby say he hates it like he does with our other sponsors, because that's,
I'm all for it.
Yeah.
All right, ready? Here we go. Marcus Smart for OBJ. Who says no, right?
Yeah. Tomorrow, this story is gonna blow away tomorrow, huh?
All right, no. So honestly, I don't think OBJ is coming. I think
you don't think so.
Nah, he already said his preference is Seattle. I'd be stunned if it doesn't happen. But anyway,
Smith, whatever.
Anyway,
Russell will be back.
Russ is back this week.
Oh, great. All right.
So what happened today? The internet exploded, as it does every single time that the Celtics are tied to reports of Ben Simmons. There was a story in the Athletic.
I got a Zannis call this morning. Every day I get the Zannis call. I'm like, what happened now?
So the arc of this story is Shams at 10 o'clock posts a story that where the Ben Simmons trade market is, and the Celtics are interested. Okay, interested. That's it. Just throws it in among other teams. But the Celtics have inquired and are interested, but talks have gone nowhere. Talks have gone nowhere. And yeah, you should inquire about everybody always at all times. You should never not inquire about anything.
Danny.
Just have the conversation.
Yes. Oh, you're selling this $2 million house. Would you take Would you take it for 100,000? No. All right, cool. Have the conversation though. Okay. So that happens. And then obviously the internet explodes and every green teamer is like, no, never. Oh, and sorry. The report says, and it doesn't even say anything other than obviously in order to make this work, the Celtics would have to throw in someone like Jaylen Brown because they just don't have other matching pieces, which we know. You're not picking up the phone and saying, I'll give you Marcus and Nesmith and whatever. It's just not going to happen. So every time Simmons' name comes up, tied to the Celtics, Jaylen gets attached. The internet explodes. Every Celtics green
Twitter into a tizzy.
Oh my God, it's the worst thing ever. Ha 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 ha. How short would this conversation be? It's the most ridiculous thing ever.
Literally never happened.
Never, ever. This is so dumb.
And they're like, right, guys? Right? It'll never happen, right?
And then a bunch of national people weigh in and say, I could see this working out. And then that makes the Celtics fans even frothier. And then a bunch of Celtics media go and they get people on the Celtics to say, these rumors are untrue. We've seen this cycle and it's fine.
It just happens.
So we have to, before we have any conversation, we have to put in this disclaimer. Not a single member of the Garden Report advocates a straight up trade.
For
Ben Simmons versus Jaylen Brown. So anything we say moving forward are hypothetical discussions that we're going to have for the purposes of discussion. It's okay to have discussion and conversation.
Well, here's the thing.
So please don't get mad. None of us think trading Jaylen Brown for Ben Simmons is a good idea at all. Now
and that's
go.
the thing.
Please. Now, I just want to put that out there. Now go, Bobby.
You're going to put down the green teamers for going, oh, never do this in a million years. How short was that call? And then if we turn on you guys and ask you, are you doing Jaylen for Ben? You two are like,
part of it is performance. Part of it is performance theater. Okay.
So don't you see why people are laughing and just shaking their heads at this and saying never in a million years?
But again, the argument.
It's not that crazy.
The argument Jimmy and I made back then that we were skewered for and that we're going to make again is it not strange, again, to live in a world where prior to this season, ESPN and SI put out their top 100 lists and have Simmons rated ahead of Jaylen Brown. These rumors come up and every Celtics fan's head explodes, but almost every national guy who weighs in says, I could see how this could work, and this isn't a bad deal, and Boston should consider it based on the structure of their roster right now. And other people who aren't emotionally invested in the Celtics only will have dialogue, but it's impossible to have in this Celtics echo chamber. And that's all Jimmy and I were saying. Like, you can have this conversation. You would never do this straight up. I'm going to get to what I think is worth talking about later, but I don't think I don't think having conversations about what can you do to improve this team, and do you have to be bold, and if you shook it up, because what are we looking at? We're looking at a team that's 4-6 that a lot of people think their ceiling is going to be the 6 seed or the 5 seed and a first round exit in the playoffs. That seems to be the ceiling of this team. If you think that that's good enough and you want to leave it exact, and you want to, look, you're not, and that's why I would get into my hypotheticals after. But again, nobody thinks right now at this moment Ben Simmons is worth what Jaylen Brown is. Absolutely not, especially based off his attitude, based off the last time we saw him on the court, based off all of it, based off his skill set. Right now, Jaylen seems to be considerably more valuable. He's a scorer. And as Bobby knows very well, the most important thing in basketball is scoring.
Yes.
Right.
And that's why, again, we're having a million different conversations when it comes to that thing. The biggest problem with Simmons, well, there's many problems. He's making such an extraordinary amount of money when it comes to the cap hit there and just the contract, and it's not a flyer. You just look at the two players and just Simmons in a vacuum, anybody would take a flyer on Simmons, but at that cap commitment and that amount of years and everything that's happened within the last year with him, it all matters. The whole entire context matters. So, actually Brown was one slot ahead of Simmons in this year's rankings, right? So Jaylen's just a flat out better player, even when you look at it in a vacuum, forgetting the contracts and all the other stuff. Like, you pay guys to score. That's why you get the max deal. You produce offense. And Simmons, for all the intangibles, we love Rajon Rondo and the different things he does, similar player way back when. If Rajon Rondo was making $36 million, all of a sudden you look at it and say, oh, that shooting's kind of an issue. The lack of scoring there is not great. And Simmons is almost worse than Rondo in that regard, right? He won't even take threes. He's passive with his shot attempts in general at this point. Plus, there's a whole variety of issues that aren't allowing him to get on the court right now. So I get why people are intrigued. This team needs passing. This team needs some defense. And he's a massively impactful player in those areas. But you're not just taking a flyer on a role guy. All of a sudden, this guy becomes part of your core. And we've seen the issues with this guy being central to your success in Philly. They're better without him. I don't know why they're asking him to come back. Like, I really don't understand it.
And that's the thing to me. This is why now trading him for cents on the dollar makes sense, because
I agree.
That's the thing. Now you've seen we don't need him. But if plan A was wait for him to cool down and let's get him back in here and we're better with him and we're going to trade him for nothing, so there's no point in trading him, then I understand that. But as you see your team playing and think, we're fine, getting anything at all is a big win. So right now, and so here comes into my hypotheticals, and I hate playing this game because I'm not a cap guy and I don't fully understand stuff. I plug stuff into the ESPN trade machine. If it says yes, I say do it. And then 8,000 people on Twitter will be like, you can't do that because of XYZ. So I don't know. However, I've always thought a thing the Celtics could do now, because they recognize their limited cap flexibility, that they don't have assets, they don't have young players that are tradable, is a potential retool on the fly. And the only way to do that would be to trade someone like Jaylen, get maybe less in return.
I love your trade idea.
That might make you 10% worse or 5% worse with some future assets. So you don't take a massive step back. It's not a tankathon where you go in the dark for 5 years. You're still competitive, but you are built now. You have building blocks for the future as well. So the thing I suggested was, what if Philly was desperate and you thought you could get, and again, this works out trade-wise, Seth Curry, Maxey, and a couple of future firsts down the road, for Brown and maybe with Richardson, or if you waited till January, you throw Smart in there to make money work. Is that something that would be appealing to the Celtics? You would get shooting, you would get a young player.
I love Seth Curry.
Under cap control. And again, these are hypotheticals, but if you start having the conversation like that, where it's not a 1-for-1 swap and you've got other things coming back, you might start thinking, that's intriguing, because you might solve a couple of things. You could solve some shooting. You could solve a point guard thing. There's ways in which you could have this conversation, depending on what Philly's willing to do to play ball to get rid of him, that you could say, that's interesting. So I don't think you shut it down completely. That's why we have conversations. But I don't know, Jimmy,
so
where are you on this?
Yeah, I mean, so much can happen if you have to wait for Marcus Smart to be a part of that deal. So much will happen by January. Whereas I think you'd know a lot more as a Celtics fan if you're willing. Clearly, if the Celtics if
you're 14 and 28 at that point,
right,
we might have a different conversation. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, if the Celtics are a top 2-3 seed, then you probably don't do anything because whatever's happening is working. So there's a lot that would happen before then. My issue, and yeah, John summed it up pretty well when this whole Simmons discussion started a couple months back. My biggest issue with Simmons is I just don't think he's a gamer. I think he's kind of like a loser. He might have attitude issues.
He might be soft. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's really the last thing you want.
I love Thibault too. They got some great players.
Yeah, they do. Clearly they do, because they're winning without him. Now, talent alone, what Simmons is capable of, we all know what he's capable of. We've all seen it, whether it's the defense, whether it's the playmaking and the athleticism. Yeah. I mean, all those things are great, but, adding him to the mix here, you just don't know what you're going to get personality-wise, and I think that's the biggest knock. Now, people can say what they want about Tatum and Brown's attitudes at times and things like that, but they don't come anywhere near remotely close what, the issues that Simmons has had. Being a leader on the court, off the court, whatever it is, not even wanting to show up to practice now. I just don't know why. Like you said, Bobby, it's not like you're just taking a flyer on a guy at a minimum. It's not the NFL where you release the guy, you can sign him to a minimum league deal and, prove it deal or whatever. It's not that. It's not a Dennis Schroeder situation where you get him at a discount and he's just trying to prove that he can get his next deal. You're stuck with this guy, for the next few years. And if it doesn't work in Boston, it's going to be that much more harder to trade him.
John's going to get a lot of flack for this one. Here's the thing, too.
We knew it before the stream started. I was like, all right,
did.
Let's get everybody mad at me.
Here's the thing, too.
The only thing we're missing right now is getting Goodman on here to tell us why it's such a good idea.
I don't even think Goodman likes it, but we'll check in on him.
Look at even Dudley's mad. Sorry, Dud, I miss hearing your voice, buddy. Yeah. Anyway, like I said, we're talking about it because it's out there and because we wanted to.
And you know what? We're vindicated, John. We're vindicated because we said that discussion's not crazy and that it's something that the Celtics would be crazy if they didn't at least pick up the phone and entertain the phone call. And that's exactly what this is. So once again, everybody who was trashing us can eat it, because that's all we were saying was that it was just something that you can kick the tires on.
So where does this go? Because Jimmy's right. Later in the season is when this would come together. And of course, we're hearing about it now because it's in the past. This is already done. They've had this conversation. It didn't go anywhere. This is always how this happens. So say you get to mid-season. Where's Philly at that point? Is this just going to keep lingering on and on for Philly? Seems like it.
By the way, I mentioned this one and you guys shit on it with Halliburton, but anyway, that's fine. Go ahead.
At that point, what's the asking price? Because again, I don't think any of us would do Simmons for Brown. John's idea, I'm listening to. That, I wouldn't do it because.
But there's a world in which if Philly wants to just unload and well, I'll give you this, and I'll give you this, and I'll give you this. At some point, you got to be
all of a sudden it becomes a trade.
All of a sudden, you're
star in this trade.
Okay, and now Brown is the centerpiece. Simmons is a throw-in, and you're getting a whole bunch of other stuff. Where
here's the thing,
Simmons is the I'm glad to be rid of him guy. He's not even factored in, and you're basically it's a trade package for Brown with current and future assets. And Simmons is tossed in simply because they don't want to pay him
to make the money work.
He's the money, right? Exactly. It no longer
becomes Theo Ratliff, just like that.
Yeah, what was the other dude that we did the TPE for?
He really is somewhat of a salary dump at this point. It's crazy to think, but
he's not. He's not, and that's where I think Bobby's way more out on Simmons than I am, because I think if you go back, you didn't think
contract.
Yeah, but you didn't think Simmons. You thought Simmons, or you still think maybe that his career is like over.
I don't think we know. The last sight we saw of him was him unable to get a field goal attempt off, shooting 34% at the line.
Right, and that's what everyone's basing his value off of. Is just that small, piss poor playoff performance.
So this is why I don't even like.
Let's not forget that a couple years ago, Simmons was regarded much, much higher than Brown, and a lot of other players that have admittedly passed him due to his own fault. Don't get me wrong. But you can't tell me that
Simmons can get better.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what I'm not sure.
I'm dubious.
I think he can, but I don't know if he
will he? Will he? That's the question.
That I don't know. I don't. Not in Philly. I mean, it really depends on where he ends up next.
Anas I've lost a lot of allies already.
Wow.
Just for having hypotheticals.
That's tough.
Hey, you gotta know how Celtics fans feel about Simmons, even back to 2018. I mean, this would be. Like, I wasn't a big Kyrie fan when he got here, and I was like, all right, let's see how this goes. If Simmons got here, I'd be like, oh, what is happening in the Boston Celtics? But I don't even like John's trade idea, and here's the reason why. I don't know if Simmons can get better. I'm dubious, just like John.
Yeah.
Tyrese Maxey, it's like, all right, this guy can get better. He's a good point guard of the future. But when we think about Brown, and this is still the thing about the Jays, they've gotten so much better. They're so young that we forget they could get even better. And Brown has gotten better every single year. I already think he looks better than last year, and he was amazing last year. I think he looks
the same as last year so far, but go on.
Opening night? That was his best game ever.
Yeah, he looks great on certain nights, and he doesn't look great on certain nights. So you got.
Well, here's the other thing we got to factor in too: the injury stuff we've talked about with Brown.
Right.
Is that becoming a thing? Maybe that factors in your line of thinking there. Just every piece of his body really starting to crumble right now. Maybe crumble's a strong word, but he always has some ailment, it feels like, and now he's out 1 to 2 weeks, as Ime said today.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not out on him. I'm not passing up the upside here. It's a talent game, and Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown are 2 better players than Ben Simmons at this point. And even though the ancillary pieces that would be involved in John's deal are appealing to me, you take the better player at the end of the day.
Yeah, look,
right. You always want to have the best player in the deal, right?
Most trades, it's about the best. Whoever gets the best player. Usually
oh my God! If Philly got Brown, there would be a parade. It would be unreal. The reaction.
Totally.
In fact, the Phillies fans today were doing backflips.
Again, my hypothetical is as much about the future as it is the current, which is to say, recognize that you're going to be spinning your wheels with the Celtics here for a couple of years. So maybe you start building towards that. You don't want to go full rebuild, but you could go on the fly retool if you're able to get stuff that helps you. And again, I threw out just in our chat my hypothetical of a world in which you trade Jaylen for younger pieces that aren't as good as he is yet, plus future assets to a team that thinks they're a star
and
away.
That's nice, but it's all about Simmons.
Right. In this case, it's Simmons. And the problem is, do you want Simmons part of your roster? And the answer is probably no. And that's where, when I keep coming back.
Does he fit here?
Yeah.
Here's what's interesting. Here's an interesting thought. Let's say that the Sixers and Simmons, this thing just goes on all season. And the Celtics do their thing. They end up with the 5th seed and they're a second round exit. Now what? Now you've had another disappointing season with, Tatum and Brown as your leaders. And there's going to be a lot more noise in terms of, okay, are these the guys that can do it? And Simmons is still out there. Maybe the Sixers are asking less now. Maybe you're more willing to, with one less year on that deal, maybe you're more willing to take a shot. I don't know. I don't know how long this is going to go on for. I don't know if the Celtics, I know the Celtics aren't legit players for him right now. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense right now at this very exact moment. But like you said, when January comes around, if depending on where they are, if they're playing really well, then they won't want to be. And if they're not playing really well, then I think there's a lot of people out there that would entertain the idea a lot more than they are today.
Smart sucking kills a lot of things right now. Like Smart.
Well, yeah, he's another asset that isn't
Smart being this bad is killing potential trades right now.
And he didn't talk again today
because he hates everybody hates him. Oh my God.
I mean, what are we going to talk about the end of the Dallas game in 5 days? I mean, come on. Whatever. But yeah, that's your matching salary. Rob's your matching salary. Richardson. It's like, great. You put the numbers in the spreadsheet, but is there value? Do you guys want those players? And we had that conversation about Evan Fournier. It was like,
what's funny is
if you're going to money.
You know what deal's gonna work just to get Philly rid of the money? In January, you do Smart and Horford.
No way. No.
Does Philly want?
Philly wouldn't do that.
You get out from Horford. It would be funny.
Out from Horford?
Meaning in a year.
Philly gets to cut his money in half.
Philly gets to cut the money in half. And
he's really good.
That's
now.
something.
I mean, you might
all of a sudden, because everyone's like, I'd never do it for Jaylen, but would you do it for Smart and Horford?
I don't want to do that to Horford. He didn't like Philly.
No.
If you wouldn't do that for Smart and Horford, then you're not allowed to be a GM in the team.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. But that's not
if
this situation heads into that area, that's not terrible.
I don't know where
in that scenario, you're probably giving up a first also, but whatever.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, at that point, is there another team that could offer something better though? Once your asking price goes down to there.
Isn't it crazy? But like, we're getting to the point where Horford actually is kind of something in a trade sense.
That's the thing is Horford's actually something.
He's getting there. He's not there yet, but like, and what he's doing early on.
I think he's something.
The Horford Embiid lineups also hurt because of Simmons. You know, and that was part of the problem.
It was like Drummond, Monroe, and Josh Smith.
It doesn't work. Yeah, it doesn't work there. But yeah, I mean, that's the one we're doing. All right, we got it. We figured it out. We solved it. We'll do another one of these in January when that.
Horford and Smart are gone, just like that. Okay,
just like that. Yeah, we
it's gonna have to be bad for Philly at that point in terms of the market. Here's the thing, John. You said this. It's so true. Philly has already wasted so much opportunity here. Now they're 9-2. They're rolling. Their offense is just a monster. Their defense is great. They're a real championship contender, and they have this $36 million slot in their cap that's just being used for nothing. Whether they pay him or not, who cares? They got to break that up, and they actually have to get real players or one player in there who can help them right now, because they have some level of a window here over the next couple of years. But Embiid, he's had all these injuries. He's getting older. They got to do this now because they've already missed so many opportunities. And I've said this over and over again.
The Sixers?
Yes, it's mind-blowing.
What are their opportunities?
That they haven't dealt them.
What are they?
Could they have taken some stuff from Minnesota? Beasley. I don't even think Russell was on the table, but just something. Like, they just need to get rid of Simmons at this point. They're dreaming of Lillard. They're dreaming of Brown. It's not happening.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, Lillard, that seems ridiculous. I mean, I don't see that happening at all. But unless he'd have to really force his way out of Portland,
which he hasn't done. Are they just going to sit here for years? And again, this is a problem for the league. This is a problem for Simmons. You can't have a star player potentially just sitting at home for years because of this stupid standoff. Something's going to
I don't know. I don't know. I feel like the league's bigger. I feel like the league is bigger than most players. Like, has anyone really thought about Kyrie much? I really haven't. I mean,
that's a fair
I'm not just saying that. Like,
it is
feel
bigger. Look at how many people got injured last year. Everyone's like, "Oh my god, the league's gonna suck because people are getting hurt." It didn't suck.
No,
it's fine.
Nobody's gonna miss Simmons if he never plays again. Nobody's gonna miss Kyrie if he never plays again. I wonder if these guys realize that.
So much star power in this game these days. There are so many good players in the NBA
on
now.
Every team,
on every team. The talent
even Oklahoma City Thunder. It's like Shy. Wow,
right?
Look what he's doing.
I mean, look at your guy in Orlando, Cole Anthony.
The talent's unreal.
This is why I tell Nick every day, and he's like, "The league sucks."
Don't start. He's gonna be here somewhere. He's in their chat right now. The talent is through the freaking roof.
They're gonna expand soon. That's where this is going because the
more teams in Canada.
Massive. Yes.
Yeah.
Toronto needs 2 teams.
Montreal, bring Vancouver back.
Ooh.
I love
Vancouver. Vancouver would suck because that's just another far place
it's going to be Vegas and Seattle, just like the NHL.
Seattle for sure.
Seattle should get
I would like a Montreal team.
Maybe a London team.
I don't know. Basketball, would they be into that?
Where?
Hockey. Montreal?
No.
Yeah, man.
No, they wouldn't.
I guess Toronto got into it, yeah.
No, they wouldn't. I wouldn't be.
It all depends on if you're good or not. It's like the Expos. Like when they were great, it was awesome. When they stunk,
basketball's an international.
Toronto is the North, John.
There's appeal everywhere. They could
draft Evan Fournier. in the expansion draft. That would be great.
What about oh, there's Memphis. I was gonna say what about Nashville, but there's Memphis. So.
Yeah. Nashville's great though with the hockey market. It's gonna be Seattle and Vegas though. In Vegas,
it will be. It's too
easy. As far as this thing goes, I'm glad you guys didn't take it too seriously and you just poked fun. We are not suggesting anybody make this trade, but again, the internet went bananas today, so we felt we'd come out and talk about it a little bit. Nobody's advocating it, but I do think you start to have weird, interesting conversations about how long do you sit and live in mediocrity, you know, and unless you have a plan and a good plan or a good idea of how you're going to build it up again. And maybe Brad does. And like I said, maybe it's the wink, wink, Beal. Maybe there's things you think are going to happen. And there are things in motion we don't know about, which would be great. But if you're just going to kind of wait and hope that this improves.
Now, here's what I was thinking earlier.
You got to start thinking of bold moves. And so, you know,
what if it's Beal, Tatum, and Simmons? That starts to sound a little more interesting.
It's different. The question is, what is Ben Simmons for real? Is it to you guys? Is Ben Simmons a point guard or a power forward?
I think
to me, he's a point guard. What?
I think he's a center. Play inside, roll.
Why do I let Bobby talk?
Short roll passing. Like this is the Russell Westbrook.
That's Ben Simmons' value. I said point guard, you said center. So people out there who say like he's useless, that's like no, he's not. He's just not
he's the point
good at a
guard,
very important thing right now that he needs to be good at, which I understand.
I think he's a left wing.
When he's the point guard, his man just stands under the basket and gets a defensive 3 seconds.
Well, he's shooting with the wrong hand too.
Oh,
according to our guy Kevin O'Connor, he's shooting with the wrong hand.
There's the biggest issue of all. You can't play him in crunch time if he's never going to hit free throws. Like it's just you have a $40 million guy who can't close games, and that is just impossible to deal with.
I like Chetos.
Yeah. Anyway,
power forward. That worked great for Philly.
He's a point forward. He is.
Yeah. But that's the beauty of putting him out there on the court. You can, there's Celtics are trying to switch everything. You can switch everything with that guy. I mean,
the defense and the matchup problems are through the friggin' roof.
The facilitating. I mean, you can get the ball out of Tatum's hands, like you always say you want to do. Like there's
that would be nice.
There's so many ways they can use him. But you're right. Like that's that one glare is that he's a black hole when he's forced to shoot the ball. So
it's like, remember that Hornets game a week or two ago when they just kept sending Mason Plumlee to the line, and it was like the Hornets' heads just exploded. Like that's what you have to deal with every night with Simmons.
maybe he's working extremely hard on it right now. Right now.
That's it. That's what he's doing.
Yeah,
he should be.
Yeah.
I want him to play
if he has any pride. We talk about pride on this show a lot. If he has any of it, he will, whatever team he ends up suiting up for next.
Jimmy, you saw him at practice. Was that a prideful appearance?
Let me ask you this question. No. That stuff is dog. You know what? I can't stand that. Just man up and just do your job. The sitting there moping in the sweatshirt.
I'm not doing this defensive drill.
I can't stand that.
It's
However,
a huge turnoff.
Let me ask you this. If Simmons became as good a shooter as Marcus Smart, what's his value? And that's not a good shooter.
Smart hits free throws.
$40 million.
He's worth it, right?
Yeah.
You're not asking him to become.
You'd rather have him than Rudy Gobert in that.
You're asking for such a. I can't believe this guy. Is he gutless? You think you can't shoot 32% from three? Like that's not that hard.
We're asking for volume.
If he did that, he's like LeBron.
Fine.
He's LeBron light. Like with some of the stuff we saw him.
He's LeBron light. If he can shoot even Marcus Smart bad or good, whatever you want to say. It's so
maybe
little.
Smart can unlock him. Maybe that's.
I think he could do it today. I think it's something that's like it's just ego that he doesn't want to be bad at something, so he just doesn't do it at all. I guarantee if he went out there and decided to take 5 threes a game, he'd hit. He'd hit 3 out of 10.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
It's not crazy. Like I just don't get it.
Yeah, you said.
I mean, it is crazy. It's crazy that he won't do that. Like it's actually crazy.
And like you said. He was a better free throw shooter before. It's gotten worse. And him getting worse overall as he did in this year in the playoffs, that's what scares me. You want to see a guy get better, especially with that money. You extended him. You signed him.
This question is Ben better than Smart? Ben is the best defensive player in the NBA. I don't care. You can take your bigs and you can shove them. He can guard he shuts people down. He is unreal. You can put him on anybody. And also, I think people just forget the shooting thing is so frustrating because you're asking him to be so little. He is like the fastest guy in the league. He is an absolute elite athlete. He
gave the Celtics fits in a lot of different games.
So fast in transition, and oh my goodness. And he is elite at many things. He would just have to be below average as a shooter.
He needs to be engaged too. He just needs to be.
And here's the thing too, there'd be a little.
Well.
It's so little. It's such a little thing for him to do to be great.
And I know why this intrigues you guys, because you want him to redeem himself here, right? Like, all right, I'm doing it with the Celtics. I'm gonna get back at Philly because we play them every year, and they'll be rivals and contenders. And all of a sudden, you get that Kyrie situation. Like, remember opening night, Kyrie comes to Boston. All of a sudden, he's playing LeBron. And all of a sudden, like, Kyrie's a Celtic. And it's like, all right, get back at LeBron. Like, go beat the Cavs. That dynamic would be cool if he could actually redeem himself in this situation. But I'm just so skeptical that he can. And you're right, John. Like, when he's at his best, it was awesome. But we're so far from that now, it feels like.
Yeah, we are. So, yeah. This was fun. I'm glad.
What a lost potential career. Oh my God.
It's not over yet.
It's not over. That's what I'm saying, Bobby.
I don't know. We'll
see.
He
is this guy.
This is one chapter. This is an ugly chapter that will be
the
closing.
hardest thing about trading for him is not whether or not you think you could rehabilitate him. It's that he's shown you the worst side of him that you never want to have in a person coming over here. Right. There's like divas. There's guys who just want it their way and they want trades and they force their way out. And then there's this, which is just awful, mixed in with all of the baggage he had coming out of college, which was question about motivation. Is he going to play up against tough opponents? Does he really want it? Does he even care about basketball? That's kind of real. You're almost in Lamar Odom sort of territory.
You kind of see it now. You kind of see what they were talking about at LSU a little bit when they're like, well, don't forget LSU sucked his year there. And like, he didn't really do anything to change his game at LSU either. So it's like the narrative is kind of, I think the more and more people follow the story or follow his career, they're kind of like, okay, yeah, this doesn't really feel like a player that we would want to have on our team. But the talent is there.
Lamar Odom is such a great comparison. And forget the other stuff that happened to Lamar Odom.
I know.
Like, just on the court, great comparison.
Everything you dated a Kardashian.
But kind of sort of cared, but didn't really care about basketball, but had all the natural talent in the world. All the natural talent in the world. He could have been anything.
Yeah.
He could have been a top 25 he could be a top 50 NBA player, Odom, with his skill set, if he gave a crap about basketball and avoided all of the other stuff.
And Rajon Rondo, that's like the good one. You know, Rondo, he took the shots. He had some issues in between. If he stayed in Boston and actually had a stable situation and other stars, the KG Pierce thing ended, kind of screwed up his career, but he was at a point in 2013 range where, he was giving you 30, 40 points some nights. Elite passing, awesome defense, and toward the end of the Big Three run there, he was becoming the Celtics' best player. So that's the kind of high end.
There's people coming in late here. This would be a stupid trade. we open the
watch it back.
We open the show saying we don't advocate this trade. We do not.
There you go. John and Jimmy are joining the wave of green.
We don't advocate it, but we'll talk about
it. But I'm
going
to troll I'm going to troll the shit out of you guys
just to throw it back to our first
an hour or so, right?
Our first conversation of the Tommy Kern tweet, that still drives me crazy. Like, would you do it?
That's what started it.
That's what we were defending.
Curran tweeted it. I quote tweeted it saying, in a sane world outside of the Celtics echo chamber, this is a conversation that could be had, among rational minded people. And everyone is like, you're the worst person ever.
I can't wait to hear why.
Stick to football.
On football, it's stick to basketball.
Yeah. I know
it's basically just stop talking to me, John.
Yeah.
That's the general reaction I get.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear some of the cases for it, though. It's going to be interesting. Like, what do people on the other side see that could be this work in Boston?
And again,
I don't see it.
I know people are saying we're doing clickbait. We're not. We're literally talking about a thing that the internet exploded over today and giving our perspectives on it. Whether you value them or not, that's entirely up to you guys. We're simply here just having a conversation like you would have with your friends about this topic.
And if you're here commenting clickbait, then guess what? You just fell
We
for
gotcha.
it, buddy. Gotcha. Thanks. Shout out Raycom.
Yeah, I should give a little shout out to Raycom again, so I'm going to do that right now. Our sponsor here, Raycom, earbuds. You love them. Seamless Bluetooth pairing, comfortable noise isolating fit. Start listening right away. Audio quality is amazing. It's comparable to what you get with other premium brands, but Raycon is half the price. And this is legit.
Yep.
You're going to pay through the nose for other stuff. And the Raycon stuff is every bit as good or better. 8 hours of playtime, 32-hour battery life, built-in mic. Take all your calls with the press of a button. We're going to be approaching holiday seasons. This is such a easy gimme gift here.
And if you're going on a plane, you need this.
Great
gift. You can't go on a plane without headphones.
Gift
if you got your New Year's resolution, like hitting the gym again, these are great for the gym. There's a few different versions that they sell where you can clip it on in your back of your ear and all that good stuff.
Do you know how many times I've like stubbornly just stuck with my wired headphones at the gym, and then I would snag something, and I'd get so freaking mad,
rips your ear out. Like it's not
so
a good
frustrating.
Look.
Yeah, and I'm mad at like the earbuds rather than me.
Right.
But yeah, go get some really good promotion. Limited time only. Buy raycom.com/garden. Buy BUY Raycon RAYCON.com/garden. 20% off your next purchase.
Shout out Ray J.
Yep.
We gotta get Ray J on a show.
Yeah.
He'd probably come on.
Yeah.
No.
Celtics fan? I don't know.
He's probably a sports fan.
So putting a bow on it, I'm glad a bunch of people jumped on here to have this conversation. It was fun talking about it. We're going to wrap it up. Guys, final thoughts here. And again, news today also, Jaylen Brown probably out another week or two. That's what we got going. We got a couple off days here before they play again. This is going to be a tough stretch to survive without him. So I say trade him now. No, I'm just kidding. But the if you're going to do it now. Get some value. No, again, I don't think there's much to this, and I'm not burying any particular journalists, but you know how this game is played. Things are floated because people want it out there. And if you're Philadelphia, you probably want it out there that the Celtics might be interested. You probably want it out there.
Because
you want it out there that the return package would be a Jaylen Brown type as you continue to try to get something out here. And this, to me, in reality, if we're to read the tea leaves, smacks of
posturing.
No, smacks of Philly realizing they've hit another real wall with Simmons, and that's probably most likely what happened.
Yeah, you saw the reporting this week with the mental health standoff and that kind of stuff. It's bad.
Yeah.
And there's no pathway looking any better. Thing about the Brown injury, and we saw it in Dallas, and we will continue to see it in this pairs with the Simmons thing, is that's just one of Boston's few shooters going down, and now you're all of a sudden more strapped for shooting here. Shooting's at a premium, as Ime has said. I actually asked Ime about the situation today because we've talked about it.
It's a pretty interesting quote.
Yeah, like I'm gonna stop saying shots will fall. Because, like, what, he just keeps saying it and then not falling? Like, that was – I didn't really get what he was going for there.
I think he was conceding to you that, like, we might have to look in the mirror and recognize that, like, no matter how many open shots we get, we're just not going to hit them because we're not that good at it.
No, and you did.
But also at the same time was like, but I guess we're going to keep shooting him because that's basketball, right? Like, what choice do you have other than to work for open shots and shoot them? It's better than –
Fourth in wide open shots, 27th in percentage on those shots. It's unreal.
Wow. That tells me that there's a lot of potential assists floating around.
We know that. We talked about that after Miami.
A lot of potential assists.
Oh, my God. So many potential assists. Yeah. Potential
And that's why, that's another thing in the whole smart thing going back a week. We're connecting a lot of dots here on, all right, what's going on with the situation? Tatum and Brown are passing. No one's hitting shots. And now they don't have Brown, so it's going to get even worse. But Neesmith, Langford, any of these guys going to step up this week?
It is. I didn't catch a lot of Saturday night's game, but I heard it wasn't Neesmith's best performance. So that just means minor setback for a major comeback for my guy Neesmith on Wednesday night.
You got to see the foul he made on Luka, Jimmy. He was his arm was like behind him trying to like search for the ball, and like he just smacked Luka across the face and gave him free throws. It was quite the foul.
Didn't last year Brad put somebody on Luka late and they fouled him too? And it was like, why is this guy in the game?
No, it was Neesmith on Luka. It was the switch, and Neesmith
last season. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
it's all spazzing out. You know, we're just like
he didn't make the switch.
What's he doing in there?
He's like got over late and he starts waving around.
Yeah,
he actually guarded that Luka shot really well.
Richardson guarded it well.
Yeah.
Oh, that was there's nothing you could do about that from a defensive standpoint. I mean, that was an unbelievable shot. That's a Luka shot right there.
I like this one.
Yeah, totally.
Yep. You know what's the tough thing about Luka? The Celtics, like if they put everything on the table that year, and maybe not because they were kind of far down, if they just put everything on the table for him, they probably could have had him. You know, no one knew what he go 5th overall. But man, what a player.
Yeah, he's unreal.
How grumpy is Jaylen going to be simply because he was in trade talks?
I don't think
grumpier.
He's in trade talks, is he?
Grumpier.
Yeah.
The answer is
I don't know. I wonder how much these guys think. I wonder if they think it's real.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's too early for these silly rumors. I feel like, but they are gonna. I mean, this is just a little preview. Until he gets traded, these aren't going away, and it's only gonna get louder and louder as we get closer to like the trade deadline. And if
we have a TPE to talk about too.
If the Celtics start,
I'm not ready for that. Man.
Yeah, TPE talk. I'm done.
I'm just where's the end button?
Yeah, I'm done on TPE talk.
All right, see you in February.
No, I can't do that. But this isn't happening. We know why this report is out there. It's an interesting thing to talk about. So as we said, the internet blew up. We figured we'd come out, chat with you guys a bit. We've got 3 days off between games.
Yep.
So we'll be back on Wednesday with it. Again, guys, closing thoughts before we wrap.
Closing thought. I guess my closing thought was what I just said. Like, don't like these rumors aren't going anywhere. Like, expect to hear more and more of this stuff, whether you believe it or not, until Simmons is somewhere, because it doesn't look like it's going to work out there for him at all in Philly. It doesn't look like they need him, and eventually they're going to have no choice but to get rid of him. It's just a matter of what they'll accept. I don't think the Celtics will be that team, but like I said earlier, come January, if Simmons is still in the Sixers, it's really going to depend on where you are as an organization, where the Celtics are. If the Celtics stink, there's not going to be as many people clamoring to not make any changes. And if they're really good, they're not going to be even close to considering making that type of trade like that. So for me, it's just wait and see mode, but I'll come on and shoot the shit about rumors like this all the time.
Yeah. By the way, Toronto would not do this trade.
John Fine OG for a while.
I know.
OG's better than I gave him credit for.
I was trying to sneak him out before everyone realized how good he was, but it wasn't happening.
We are going to have some fun this week.
Yeah.
Starting tomorrow, we're going to do a Raptors show. Dome Theory tomorrow. Check it out.
Oh,
Dome Theory
all Toronto. You should get Annie on the show.
Yeah, we'll bring a bunch of people in from.
No, Annie's the original. Annie's the OG Toronto fan.
Oh, yeah. She came on during our playoff run.
Joined us in the bubble. Liked the vibe. Liked what Bobby was dishing as far as the Toronto stuff. Hung with us.
And she was right. She stayed confident on
kind
the
of
Raptors
a Celtics
going
fan
into this
now.
year.
We turned her into a Celtics fan.
I wasn't as high on the Raptors this year. I thought they had a crappy roster, younger guys. It was going to be a rough transition. They are 6-4 last I checked. Better than the Celtics. Awesome, competitive. They destroyed them by 32 on opening night. So rematch.
What's funny is the roots of this show. When we started in the bubble was me and Jimmy being insanely bullish about the Celtics making it to the finals and stomping teams like Toronto, and Bobby saying the Celtics aren't that good. Toronto's amazing. And and now it's completely flipped that we're
scoring lovers.
We're the trolls. No, when
I had them sweeping Philly that year.
When we think they're good or when we think something positive is happening, we go hard all in. You saw me on Rob last year. I was friggin' giddy. But when it looks like crap, you got to call it how you see it. So again, really
that's still, I mean, that series lost to the Heat. I'm still not over.
I'm still mad about that.
Yeah.
What if they lost to the Raptors? It was like this close.
It was never happening.
That's the thing. If you go back and watch that series, it
was a lopsided 7-game series.
The talent differential was crazy in that series. That's what it should have never went 7.
Never.
That's when things went south with Kemba, that series, which nobody could have predicted.
Brown had
Right.
that 30
Nobody.
shot game 6.
Except maybe.
Nobody. So that's it again. Buy Raycon. BuyRaycon.com/garden, 20% off. We'll be back on Wednesday. We got a ton of basketball content hitting our channels. So subscribe if you haven't already. Cedric Maxwell doing his podcast tonight. So we'll have that out tomorrow. Goodman, Ryan, and Tangway now in the mix there on that show. That is correct. Yeah. Hey,
Okay.
Yes.
That's
Gary
a dynamic.
That is just what that show needed.
Just what it needed.
I'm sure
a little G&T.
I'm sure they're gonna not go crazy. Tanguay's not gonna drive them crazy at all. No chance. Bob Ryan will have plenty of patience, I'm sure.
Ryan's a veteran of that. He used to come in, hang out early edition all the time with us over at NBC.
Yeah, he gets it.
He gets it. He knows how the game is played. So you got those guys coming out. Bobby's doing a Toronto-centric dome theory, which is obviously a can't miss for all of you north of the border. And what else is coming tomorrow? And a ton of Patriots stuff as well. So obviously head over to Patriots Press Pass. Tomorrow is OBJ Day, so head over to Patriots.
And they're playing the Browns this week, right?
Yeah.
Wow, that would be something.
Yep.
So no OBJ. That's your prediction. There's gonna be no breaking news tomorrow.
I honestly, for a while, I was very bullish. I'm slightly less so. I'm not sure.
Seattle's
Here's
really
a question. Would he be pissed if the Pats claimed him? Because he said, I saw there was a report today that he would possibly have issues with certain teams that claimed him.
I don't think so.
Patriots be one of those teams.
I don't think so.
So then, does he get claimed or does he hit free agency and choose Seattle? What do you think?
I think he does not get claimed. I think he hits free agency. I think he determines his destination. But I just don't know if the Seattle thing is necessarily true.
I'm not a Beckham guy anyway. I mean, I'm not an Odell Beckham guy, but if you're a Patriots fan, you obviously want him because your wide receivers could be a hell of a lot better. So it's be worth the risk.
I think he's washed, but I also think the fact that like the thing where he's most effective is just a little quick slant route and, and then get it and run underneath. I mean, he can just bury people there, just catch it and go. And that's kind of what the Patriots are running. I think he could wreak havoc in the middle of the field. I also think he's good with contested catches. So I just think, and Mac is pretty accurate. I do think there's things
good.
you could use.
That's really.
But I mean, I get it. If you're OBJ, you're thinking I want to run down the field and I want touchdowns. And Russell Wilson throws a mean deep ball, and I want to join an offense that has a passing attack with a bunch of other receivers. So that way, I don't draw number 1 corners, and those guys can guard DK, and I'm just going to be beating up on number 3 guys.
I mean that'd be a smart individual choice. But I mean, as much as I like Seattle, and I kind of do, they're in the hardest division in a while. Like they might not even make the playoffs. Patriots probably have a much better chance to make the playoffs than Seattle does.
Seattle will be fine. Wilson, but I didn't expect.
They're in an unbelievable division, though.
But yeah, if OBJ wants his targets and he wants his value up, obviously Seattle might not be great, so he's got to balance it. What does he want most? Does he want a winner, a team that he thinks he can put over the top? Does he want to rehabilitate his image
that's
so he can get
too.
signed
Jimmy,
again?
I do get what Jimmy's saying there. It'd be much harder to win the Super Bowl through Seattle than the Patriots actually have a decent path to being competitive.
Well, they're in the AFC East, which is the worst division in all of sports for the last 20 years, and even including this year too.
With the Bills.
Yeah, so there's always the Patriots always going to have a chance to make the playoffs, and once you're in the playoffs, anything can happen. Yeah. OBJ could have a huge role for them too.
I will say I'm not worried about diva issues. Most people who shoot themselves out of one place and act really petulant and immature are on their best behavior at their next destination.
Ben Simmons.
At least for a short period of time.
Ooh.
So the tie-in here is terrific. Tomorrow, Simmons and OBJ are both in Boston.
Crazy.
How are we going to do 2 streams at the same time? We're going to have to use 2 accounts.
I told Lazar, I was like, stand by, dude. I was like, the second we know, and you know me, I said Bradley Beal was 100% done. I'm texting with Lazar earlier today. I'm like, it's 90-10 Beckham is coming, so get ready. And he's like, come on, man. I'm like, it's happening,
No, they cleared a roster spot for him today.
Oh,
that was ominous.
Yeah.
Or maybe they just didn't like that center offensive.
No. That's procedural. You got probably guys coming off the pup. You cut Ferentz, you put him back on the practice squad. Yeah. You know, it's that kind of shuttle there. So I doubt it. But imagine if tomorrow was OBJ Simmons Day. Oh.
Oh my God, we would just do a 24-hour live feed of your apartment. We're just doing shows of my place, Bobby's place, John.
We could do
we'll
like
go live
24/7
marathon.
Talk about everything. Yeah,
let's do it. Right, everybody, just round table, just whatever's on your mind. It doesn't matter the sport. Just throw it out
feeling?
There. Yeah. What are you feeling right now? Anyway, guys, thanks again for hanging. We went for a little bit here, but it was fun. And yes, Lazar is the GOAT of beat writing. You should follow him.
Lazar is an animal.
He's an animal. Check his stuff out over on the Patriots. He's going to have some good film study stuff tomorrow as well on last weekend's game. We are going to wrap it. We will see you guys on Wednesday. Thanks all.